Welcome to this iPhone Parental Controls how-to video, brought to you by the Substance Awareness Coalition Leaders of Arizona. This will be a fairly quick overview as this topic is expansive, but we hope to equip you with a solid foundation for understanding parental controls. Note, before setting up parental controls, consider installing all of the apps you know you'll allow on your child's device. This is easier than having to approve all of these later. Also, make sure your phone is updated to the latest software update as well as your child's. This will prevent issues with parental controls. With that said, let's set up family sharing. Open Settings on your iPhone. Tap your Apple ID name at the top. Tap Family to set up family sharing. Tap Add Member, then create a child account if your child doesn't already have an Apple ID. Follow the prompts to set up an Apple ID for your child and add their real birth date. This is important for age restriction settings. Once created, your child's account is added to your family group. Note, you cannot add a child over the age of 13 through this method. You must set up their account like you would for yourself. You may do this with their phone. Once they have an account created, click Add Member under Family in your settings on your iPhone. Invite them to your family. Once accepted, you can follow the same steps next. If you do not have an iPhone, you can go directly to Screen Time settings and set up parental controls on their device. Make sure to keep the passcode secure. Once your child is listed under Family, click on their name and go to Screen Time. Once there, follow the steps to set downtime, app limits, and content and privacy restrictions. Make sure to set a Screen Time passcode. Tap Downtime and set a schedule for when your child cannot use the device. Make sure Block at Downtime is enabled. Tap App Limits and choose time limits on specific apps. Make sure Block at End of Limit is enabled. Next, tap Communication Limits. Under During Screen Time, choose Contacts Only or Specific People. Under During Downtime, restrict to specific contacts, for example, parents only. Turn off Allow Contact Editing. Next, tap Communication Safety. Keep Check for Sensitive Photos toggled on. Next, tap Content and Privacy Restrictions and toggle it on. Go through each of the following carefully: iTunes and App Store purchases, allowed apps and features, App Store, media, web, and games, and intelligence in Siri. Next, go to Content Restrictions and set web content to limit adult websites or allowed websites only, apps, limit by age, for example, 9 and over. Then set music, podcasts, news, and fitness to clean. Under movies and TV shows, set max allowed ratings. Under books, set to clean. And lastly, Game Center. Disable multiplayer games if desired. In order to prevent changes to these settings, under Content and Privacy Restrictions, scroll down to Passcode Changes, Account Changes, etc., and set to Don't Allow. Lastly, monitor usage frequently. Review your child's daily and weekly reports and monitor for unusual amounts of screen time on unassuming apps like Notes. Congratulations, you've made it through iPhone's parental control settings, but we have a few more things we'd like to share with you. Keep in mind that nothing is bulletproof. There are workarounds, and this is another important reason why regular conversations about your expectations for them are key to keeping your child safe from both on and offline harms such as predators or drug dealers. With that said, be sure to set up third-party apps like Bark, Aura, or Custodio for extra security, like monitoring incognito mode, which prevents online activity from being tracked. So it deletes all search history once closed, but service providers can still see. You can also receive alerts if a text message looks concerning. Also, consider checking to see if your Wi-Fi router and/or data service providers like Cox or Verizon have any restrictions you can apply for extra layers of protection. Lastly, always read the fine print about what these apps do with your child's information. There are ever-developing ways kids get around your parental controls, but here are some. Kids may try to factory reset the phone to escape restrictions. They could also change the time on their device, which breaks time frames. Limit access to their settings and make sure to add Wi-Fi controls. This will help. They may use the Sign In with Google feature. Kids can use the pop-up browser and find their way to google.com to browse. If desired, fix this by going to Content and Privacy Restrictions, Content Restrictions, and turn on Allowed Websites. It's more of a pain, but will prevent unrestricted access to websites other than ones you've specifically allowed. Also, be aware of false apps like calculator vault apps that store files behind a legitimate calculator when the app is opened. They have a special code that lets them in. Vet every app they want to download. Be sure to review their time spent on all apps. If something seems odd, like 10 hours spent on the Notes app in the last 2 days, it may be worth checking out. They may use a VPN to get around Wi-Fi controls. Also remember that they can access social media through web browsers. If the Limit Adult Website setting is enabled on your child's phone, and not only sites you've chosen, they can go to Google Images and search for explicit content, and since it is not looking up the exact URLs for these images, they do not get blocked. Now there are tons more ways that these kids get around parental controls, and this is why regular conversations about your expectations for them are vital to protect your children. Children thrive with clearly set boundaries. You've got this. Thank you for taking the time to learn how to better protect your children in this digital age. For more on how to protect your children from today's drugs, visit talknowaz.com.